When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube, welcome back to the Grease Comedy YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm doing a lot of, house analysis. I've done House Valyrian, I've done House Hightower, but there's a house that gets forgotten. It always does, every time. Everybody always knows House Targaryen, House Valyrian, they're Valyrians, and that's it. People are like, oh, alright, that's cool. But where's House Celtigar? Where are they? They're never, nobody ever talks about them. Okay, they have like 3 mentions in the entire normal story. So in this video, we're gonna do them justice. We're gonna talk about the lost Valyrians. We don't have a lot to go off of. I did some notes for this, but we're gonna give them a little. We're gonna give them a little video. We're gonna talk about them, and we're gonna give them the respect they deserve because they're part of Valyria as well. We don't know to what extent, but they are also Valyrian. So let's get into House Celtigar. But before we do, if you guys like to like, subscribe, and comment, please do. It helps the channel grow. If you might like this content as well. And let's get into it. So, House Celtigar are a house that they came over basically with the Targaryens, the Valyrians. We know very little about their origins. They rule off of Claw Isle, an island off the coast of Crackclaw Point. They also basically claim like governance over Crackclaw Point, to the degree, as we'll talk about a little bit later, like they try to send debt collector or tax collectors, and it usually doesn't go well. They usually don't return. So it's a very interesting relationship that the Celtigars have with Crackclaw Point, that they say they have like governance over it, or they own that territory, but it doesn't really seem like they do. But we know that they are sworn to Dragonstone in the Crownlands. They kind of go to Stannis when he is doing his war stuff. One of the Celtigars is there. We'll talk about him in a second as we get to the main story. But here's a couple notable Celtigars to show kind of how important they were early on in history. And just like the Valyrians, they just kind of fell out of power. And the Celtigars were just never as powerful as the Valyrians were at their heights. But there were some very notable ones. So let's start. Crispian Celtigar, I hope I'm saying his name right, was Aegon the Conqueror's master of coin. Alton Celtigar was also the hand of the king as well for about 8 years after Lord Tully. We have another Celtigar who Edwell Celtigar was hand of the king for Maegor and later the master of coin for Jaehaerys. Edwell's daughter also ends up marrying Uther Peak, so a little bit just notable there. And I kind of think the last real known Celtigar that we know of from Fire and Blood is Bartimus Celtigar, who was the master of coin for Rhaenyra Targaryen and was on her Black Council. So those are kind of our notable Celtigars. So we see like early on, like they were in hand of the king positions for 2 different Targaryen kings. Master of coin seems like a very common place for House Celtigar. And House Celtigar is a very mysterious house in that they seem like they do have some riches, but we just don't really know to what extent. Like their castle is said to hold many treasures, making them more wealthy than others. So like we're kind of told that House Celtigar is like above average in wealth, which is really weird considering I guess their status. Like when you think about their cause with Stannis, they only bring 1 large ship. So it is interesting like the way we're told that they have like this secret amount of wealth. Maybe this is true, maybe it's not. We don't see a ton of Claw Isle, and we also don't know a ton about House Celtigar as a whole, but it is said that they have a chest of rubies, an axe of Valyrian steel. That's the part that intrigues me, because we hear all about these swords of Valyrian steels, family swords, but an axe. That is awesome, and I really hope we get to see that used at some point. I don't know if we ever will. It would be a really damn shame if George tells us that and introduces us into that, and when we never see it. But they also have that. There's also like some more treasures that they have. I didn't list them all out, but these were the main 2 I wanted to focus on. And that's all we know. From the entire book of Fire and Blood, that's all we know of the Celtigars. That's it. So when I tell you they are a forgotten house, and a house that does not get a lot of book time or screen time. This is correct. Like, they are very not well known. And when we get to the main story, the person in charge is an Adrian Celtigar. He is initially for Stannis, and he brings one large ship, the Red Claw. I think it's actually a fantastic name for them, just because they're from Claw Isle. Their banner has, like, crabs on it. Fantastic name for a ship. I just wanted to point that out. And after the Battle of Blackwater, he is captured and bends the knee to Joffrey. So this kind of prompts, there's like this entire like tiny plot here when Davos gets back to Stannis after the Battle of Blackwater, where Stannis is kind of being told that they should invade Claw Isle and take all of the riches because Adrian Celtigar bent the knee. And Davos convinces him not to. And again, we can see why this makes sense, because it's like, well, why would people join you if they know if they get captured something, you're going to sack their castle and destroy? Like, why would you destroy a house that was loyal to you, like, at a point instead of your enemies? It just shows a lot about you as a person. And Stannis already doesn't have a great reputation. So when I mean great reputation, I mean like as a likable person, right? Or somebody like people like to fight for. Stannis' reputation as a military commander is still fantastic. So, the last we hear of House Celtigar is that Adrian Celtigar actually participates in Tyrion's trial, which is very interesting, seeing as though he's just flipped to this, like, Lannister side. But he participates in Tyrion's trial, saying that he heard Tyrion threatening Joffrey. So, Adrian Celtigar pretty much is under Cersei's thumb, it would appear at this moment. And that's the last we really hear that's notable of House Celtigar. The question is going to be, just kind of like House Valyrian, will House Celtigar be involved at all in the normal story? I would probably assume not, just because they have very little screen time. Like, I had 4 bullet points for this house in the entirety of A Song of Ice and Fire, like the main story. So I don't think so. You know, as time is passing, it kind of would have been cool if Stannis did take Claw Isle, got himself a Valyrian axe. Okay, you know what would be the perfect way House Celtigar gets put into this world? A little bit more. It'd be sad, but if Victarion takes Claw Isle, like say Claw Isle is with Cersei and is going against Dany, and Dany's like, okay, go take out Claw Isle. It's an important island for just, you know, me, because it's a, you know, Valyrian stronghold of my ancestors and all that stuff, with the Celtigars being Valyrian. And he takes it, and him already, like, liking axes, gets a Valyrian axe. That'd be sick. I don't care what you guys say. That would be a cool fan fiction. But let me know what you guys think about House Celtigar. I was just kind of wanted to kind of finish off with, like, kind of the Valyrians outside of House Targaryen. I know this is a very short video because there's not a lot to talk about them. But let me know what you guys think about them, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye, guys.